Hey guys, All in Crypto here, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another YouTube video. It's been a little while since we've given you a Bitcoin update video, so today is the day we're going to be delivering that. Guys, lots to talk about. Bitcoin is indeed on the road to recovery. Now, we have been keeping you up to date during this dip. We've been looking at a number of things, mainly on-chain data that showed us, exactly why the bull market was not over. We've made sure that we've reinstated our beliefs. This is just a pullback within a bull market. Bitcoin is in a bull market, not a bear market. The main reason people were calling for a bear market was due to the severity of this sell-off, which reached around about 55%. Altcoins sold off significantly more. This, of course, is unorthodox in comparison with 2017. However, in comparison with 2013, which we'd all have called a bull market, was actually somewhat mild. So we're going to get into it in this video. Now, we kept you up to date with this falling wedge structure that we believed was going to play out. Falling wedges are typically a reversal pattern, a kind of trend reversal. They signal typically a trend reversal. They tend to break to the upside. You have indeed had that. The marginal lower lows are actually quite a bullish sign. In kind of adversary to that, marginally higher highs, which we had up here, which people calling for the Wyckoff distribution structure, are typically a kind of bearish sign. It really shows that the trend is running out of steam. And you have indeed broken out. Now, Bitcoin is running into levels of resistance right now. It is getting rejected off them. But the good thing is, guys, instead of kind of coming back below your EMAs, your 20 EMA across the board, not just on the 4-hourly time frame, but the daily, we're still below it on the weekly. We have actually rejected off it on the weekly, but we'll talk about the weekly time frame in a second. You are using it as kind of support, whereas we previously had used it as resistance. So there's lots of bullish indicators right now that seem to be flashing, and this level of resistance around about 41k. We do believe you are going to get through and then come back and retest it. We think this is the kind of direction that things are going. Now, why do I think you're going to come back and retest it? Well, that would mean we have a bit of a sell-off. It's not going to be a sell-off of any sort of significance. It's just going to be a healthy pullback within an upwards trend. The reason we believe this is simply because you have now had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7... soon to perhaps be 8 green candles on the daily time frame. If you go and look at areas where you've had this many green candles previously, it's usually always met with a kind of red candle, a bit of a sell-off. So we are anticipating that. You are at a crucial level right now. We did reject, let's jump back to the 4-hourly, guys, off this level. We wicked sort of close to it, came back, sold off. We are now pushing up against it. It does seem to be acting as resistance. However, it's my belief that you are going to break through this, come back, probably test it as support, sort of support and resistance flip sort of thing happens, before we then use it to kind of bounce off and continue in this upwards direction. The market has changed. We are noticing a little bit of volume come back. It's not the volume that we want. Volume seems to be a little bit higher. There seems to have been an uptick in volume. Had a barrage of good news, whether that be Amazon coming out and saying they're going to accept, or not Amazon themselves, a kind of an insider, a credible source coming out and saying that not only is Amazon going to accept Bitcoin, but they're going to look at coming up with their own Amazon coin. This has then kind of been refuted to keep a lid on the whole thing. Lots going on. Binance and other exchanges out there are under a bit of regulatory scrutiny. This is actually a good thing, ladies and gentlemen. I know that it sucks that certain payment rails have been cut off. I know in the UK, Binance has, certain banks have come out and said you're not allowed to send money to Binance now, which is totally hypocritical, because they will allow you to gamble and do other nefarious things. Not nefarious, other sort of detrimental things, and spend your money on whatever you want. However, of course, they're not going to be so easy to allow you to send your money over to the competition. But this really shows whether it's, the FTX, which is an exchange that I trade on, and obviously Binance, have actually cut their leverage. This would probably have been had something to do with regulators kind of coming down on them. This is a good thing in retrospect, the same way that China coming out and banning Bitcoin miners. Okay, yes, that's not great, but what that does is really decentralize the kind of mining space. As we know that I think nearly half of all hash rate came directly from China, which for the sake of decentralization wasn't really a good thing. So we are anticipating a sell-off at some point. Now, it's not going to be with any kind of serious magnitude, but that's just simply because of the kind of amount of green candles that we've had. And this is, always typically met with a kind of pullback. before then continuation ensues. And as long as you stay above, you can see you are very overextended from your EMA on the daily. As long as you stay above your EMAs on the daily and the 4 hourly, and obviously the smaller denomination timeframes from that. The weekly, you have actually come up, and along with the pullback that we saw from this level, you can see they're kind of this level here needs to really be took. You need to get above this EMA before coming back, retesting it, and continuation ensues. So we are actually predicting new all-time highs for sure before the end of the year. We follow something called the Bitcoin 4-year cycle theory, which we've spoken about at great length on this channel, and ultimately believe that is still in play. Bitcoin follows a 4-year cycle theory kind of trajectory based around the halvenings and this kind of supply shock, which not only brings Bitcoin up but the rest of the market, and creates a kind of wave-like structure for Bitcoin. And ultimately we think 2021 is very similar and akin to 2013 and 2017, and there's still a lot more upside to come for this space. So super excited for what's to come. I believe an ETF is probably in fact more than definitely going to get approved this year. We just have so many filings. Goldman Sachs filed a DeFi ETF today, I believe, or yesterday. All the big players out there, guys, whether that be institutions, whether that be banks, family offices, hedge funds, are all trying to gain cryptocurrency exposures. And the ways that their preferred way to do that, other than the grayscale trusts, would be via an ETF. And this is going to really allow a large amount of volume to flow into the space. We are predicting more upside here. We looked at a number of things to kind of predict this. We looked at the RSI. We looked at the stock RSI. We looked at a number of things, guys, to kind of help us come to this conclusion. The stock RSI mainly, we formed that bullish cross. We told you on this channel, hey guys, you got a bullish cross just formed on the RSI, expect an up move. And we have indeed received that, I guess. Volume seems to be coming somewhat back. It's still very low. We do believe you're coming out the other side of it, and volume is going to resume towards the latter half of the year. This is when we expect things to get parabolic for the cryptocurrency space. Now, there are a number of things that could ensue. Remember what the world is going through right now in regards, I'm not going to say it on this channel because I'll get flagged, but there is still a lot of uncertainty around the world. Things such as more restrictions coming in, like we had back in March 2020, would definitely have a catastrophic effect on the market. I don't think as severe as 2020 because we've already kind of been through it and we don't have that kind of initial shock. But there is that possibility, guys, and it really does. It's my belief that I believe we will enter another shutdown, perhaps, maybe not on the same scale, but in some way or other. The news kind of all seems to be pointing towards that. However, I think that it's not going to have such a catastrophic effect. So there is going to be some ups and downs, but that if you're a part of crypto and you've been here for any kind of a length of time, you'll know that this is a very volatile asset class that reacts a lot more to bad news than it does good. Throughout 2018, 2019 and 2020 and indeed this year, we've had absolutely amazing news across the board, and it's really not done a lot to the price. We have bad news and it seems to really trigger an onslaught of shorts. And one thing that's interesting, and I've really been learning this with charts and doing TA, is you will actually see movements within the charts well before you even get the news, and it kind of correlates. The news confirms what's going on in the charts, and you'd have thought it'd be the other way around. It's really not, and that's simply due to the fact that you do have people out there that are extremely in the know, and they will move before you get the chance to, before you even get the news. So we do think the road to recovery is on. Anticipate you breaking this kind of 41k level before coming back, retesting and having a bit of a pullback before then continuation. Everything looks fine to me, guys. We're very excited. The overall market is at $1.55 trillion. Everything's up across the board, guys. You do need to get above your EMA on the weekly. Like I've stated, you're not quite there. You do seem to be coming off and kind of hitting your head on it. You are going to need to see a break above that in a similar way to how you broke above this. But if you look at this, guys, you had... let's take a quick look at March 2020 and how many green candles we got off the back of that. Yeah, so you can see that the green to red candles are sort of more evenly distributed. We have had a lot of green candles on the daily, which has got me thinking, a red candle is bound to be around the corner. However, you just never know. But we are anticipating a pullback at some point. So if some of you are looking for entry points, that may be the time, you know, when you start to see that sell-off or that pullback, which is coming. You know, it is unorthodox that we get this many green candles, and we are clearly, very, very clearly coming up and hitting our head-on resistance here. Regulations are around the corner, guys. This is absolutely true. Binance cut withdrawal limits, rolls out tax reporting tools. They've got to do this. There's this huge debate, and it is kind of trivial, I guess, that a permissionless asset like Bitcoin, you know, in some countries you need permission to use it. It kind of defies, in many respects, what Satoshi's vision really was for Bitcoin. But in order for us to gain that real mainstream adoption, there needs to be clear regulatory clarity on this. Because you have a lot of institutions out there that it's not that they don't want to jump into Bitcoin and other cryptos out there. They can't because, you know, they can't be seen to do something that's against or that they might get in trouble for down the line, and that then has an effect on their stock prices or their fund. So we are going to see this. I think that the sort of Binance in the UK, they cut off a lot of payment rails, not just the UK, places in Europe as well. Italy is one. Italy essentially said to them, look, you can pay us some money and we'll make this go away, or you know, we'll bring down the might of the law on you, and that's what they're doing, which just sums it up really. They want to regulate this space so they can get a cut of the pie, is what they want. They don't want to regulate it necessarily for your protection, although there is definitely an element of that in there. It's more just so that they can tax it, and they don't get kind of, you know, they don't have people making money without their approval. The news flows seem to be bullish. Like I said, you had the Amazon news, which kind of came out and was largely refuted by Amazon. But across the board, guys, it's all moving in the right direction. The overall market's moving in the right direction, like I say, led by Bitcoin. We are exceptionally bullish. We think new all-time highs are a matter of time. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. And we think that's soon. We think in a couple months' time, you're going to be back up at your all-time highs, providing that we don't have any kind of catastrophic news come forth. So that's really all I have for you in this video, guys. Just a quick, short and sweet Bitcoin update video. You know, we did say that you were going to break out of this falling wedge. You have indeed done so. You're above your EMAs, 20 EMAs on a number of time frames. Stock RSI looks great. The actual RSI looks great. We'd like to have come down perhaps a little bit lower on the RSI. However, you know, it's good enough, guys. I mean, ultimately, these things don't land perfectly. You know, and we know, one thing that we do know, guys, is, let me just bring this up. RSIs in a bull market will typically bottom out at a higher point. That was certainly true in 2017 and 13, and we believe that's going to be true today. So we're still following the Bitcoin 4-year cycle theory, guys. Now, whether that, let me just say this very quickly. People talk about lengthening cycle theories. There is definitely an element of that. Cycles do seem to be lengthening. If you put all the previous cycles together, there is definitely where you top out seems to be getting longer and longer. So we do kind of subscribe to that, but we are looking to perhaps sell some of our crypto towards the end of the year. We think, like I say, we think towards the end of the year things are going to heat up massively, and that's what this channel is all about, making sure that people don't miss out on that. I'm not a financial advisor. Nothing I say or do on this channel is financial advice. Really, it's just a kind of our opinion on how things are going to play out, and we've been largely right so far, guys. You know, we've been investing in Bitcoin now for 4 years. Not only Bitcoin, a large number of cryptos. Some of them, such as Cardano, we got in for cents, and we're doing very well across the board. So that's all I have for you guys. I'm going to love and leave you on that note. Hope everybody's having a fantastic Wednesday. Wednesday's a bit of a dull day. You're kind of halfway through the week. You know, it's not like Thursday when you got one day left before the weekend. But we're going to love and leave you on that note. So the road to recovery is on for Bitcoin. Anticipate a pullback at some point, just simply because this amount of green candles is somewhat unorthodox. This is really acting as a level of resistance right now. One thing that before I wrap up, I want to point out is there's not really much resistance above this. Maybe the 43k range, but you know, we think it's going to be a very short period of time before you get back to your all-time highs. You know, a couple of months. Remember, we said that on this channel, and we'll see if that plays out. That's all I have for you guys. I'm going to love and leave you on that note. Hopefully you all have a fantastic day, or have had one so far. It's 6 o'clock here in the UK, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next YouTube video. Thanks a lot for watching, guys.